Hey y'all. Um, if y'all want to know something about me, I love me a dark skinned woman. I love me a dark skin. Like I have a preference, and my preference is a dark skinned woman. Like anybody that know me can tell you that, right? Uh, I've never hidden it. I mean, do I date outside my preference? Yes, but if you bring a beautiful dark skinned woman, I'm gonna go bananas. I've done it before. I had I mean, like one time in the strip club, and I saw this beautiful dark skinned stripper and all that other stuff. Nigga, I was about to simp hard, and like that girl was. I told her that girl was perfect. I ain't gonna hold you up. Like the girl, she was like she looked good. She was thick, and she had these abs that was really good. She had a body. Her body was banging, and I think she had a short haircut too, which it was also really good. And she was just beautiful, beautiful. And then like I had to stop myself from getting on that dance because I was like, this girl's gonna take all my money. But like I haven't seen her. I haven't seen her since. But I was just like, dang. Like if I had a girl like that, then I'm sad. But I've always, like I said, but I've always like dark skinned women. Where has it came from? My sister, she had two friends that was dark skinned, and that I really. It's funny because that's the one I really tried to shoot my shot at. Before knowing what shooting a shot was. One girl, her name was Cece. She was dark. She was just dark skinned, and I think that's who started my whole like old preference of dark skin. And I haven't seen her since. I know she's married with kids now, but I always thought she was beautiful. I was just like, damn, this woman got it. I just thought she was just cute. So with that being said, I know that sometimes dark skinned women, y'all go through this thing where y'all feel like y'all not loved, and y'all feel like no one looks at you, and everybody wants them a little light skinned red bone. I look, I'm not saying y'all plight is not true. Obviously, your plight is true, but I also feel like, and I say this with love, not with hate. I feel like y'all one of those. Y'all seen that meme where it was just like, "Damn, nobody love me," and then there's someone in the background was like, "I love you." Matter of fact, I really like you a lot. And then they go, "So damn, no one love me." Yep. If I find a meme, I'll edit it in here. But sooner, but I wanted to look at this because this is coming from Chrissy. And Chrissy, I've heard Sergeant Willie Pete talk about it all the time. I've seen her in videos, and like I believe Chrissy is a dark skinned woman, but I also feel like she plays the victim a lot. Again, I know y'all go through this stuff, so I'm not stupid that dark skinned women do go through this stuff. But at the same time, it's just like I saw a little bit of this, and I was like, oh Lord, here comes some reaching shit. And I'll show you what I mean. So this is about what I could speak. She is commentating on, I guess Dion Cole has a podcast now, and he had Tashina Arnold, and we done seen this many a times because the whole thing about Martin, the dialogue between Martin and Pam, and Tashina Arnold has said this many a fucking times. And yet, people that still have a problem with the whole Martin and Pam dialogue thing. And let's just go through this.
So I want to talk about Tashina Arnold recently going on Dion Cole's podcast and denying Martin Lawrence's colorism against her character Pam on the show Martin. And I also want to discuss what she said about her experience dating a non-black man. And before we get into it, just an FYI, I make exclusive content for Neptunian members and patrons. So if you're interested in my opinions and strategies on other topics, the links to join are in the description box. Also, if you enjoy my content, be sure to like this video, share, and subscribe. So let's get into the first clip.
Ari Lennox, where the colorism thing, where she felt like Martin was bagging on me because I was brown skinned and because she was a brown skinned girl. And I have heard this story. Like I guess it was.
So it was more than Ari. It wasn't just Ari. Other people
I think it was only Ari.
Okay.
You know how she said it was only Ari? Because it was only Ari. Because everybody else, when it comes to Martin, let me tell you something. No one plays about Martin. Which is like, I did a video on this. I don't know if I saved it. I don't know if I put it up. But it was about overanalyzing shows like Martin. I think I still have it. I probably got to look for it, but I never uploaded it. But I told people, I've said this many times, I have a problem with y'all try to overanalyze shows like Martin. Because Martin is not a serious show. Martin is there for the laughs. Alright? Martin is our Black Seinfeld. It doesn't really, like, it has a little story concept, but it's not really big on story concept. Martin's whole concept was just, how do I make you laugh from week to week? Right? Like, that to me, that is what Martin is. That is soul food. I know some people say junk food, but this is a black show. That is soul food, right? He's the whole deal was him to make you laugh. So let's keep going.
Don't laugh, because now she gonna be mad at me.
I'm not being mad. Shout out to Ari. No, I love Ari. Shout out to Ari.
I like her. I mean, I don't know her personally, but I like her music, and I met her one time when I was hosting Soul Train. I understand completely what she said, and I get it. So this is a little backstory. Pam was originally for a heavyset girl, so all the jokes on my audition were fat jokes. So never, ever, ever came from a brown skin thing.
Yeah.
It started when I really had BDBs in the back of my head. I never knew I had pepper ball. We call them pepper ball. So we would go back and forth. So it was out of love. It was out of that's what we did. It had nothing to do with color. My relationship with that show was never ever, those jokes were never written from malice. It was written from who's got the best joke. Who's
got the best shit, right?
Never about colorism.
Never. That's good. That's good to know. Yeah, like I said, shout out to Ari, man.
Yeah, Ari, we understand how you feel.
Yeah, we just want them to be sure.
It wasn't meant that. And so maybe, Ari, you need to talk to your friends and the people that you were around during that time. Who made you feel that way?
Yeah.
Somebody, maybe in your family or friends, somebody may have done or said something to you which allowed you to look at things a little differently and not receive them in the spirit that they were given.
So there were several
Before Chrissy goes on, that is solid advice to me. And also, she said it herself, like, Pam was never really meant for her. It was meant for a heavier set person or fat girl for most people. And yet Pam got the job. And yet the fat Joe's gonna go. So he was like, what can I clown on the BDBs and the buckshot? Because, he never talked about her skin tone. He called her BDBs, called her buckshots. He was just like throwing jokes out there. And I say this all the time, and anybody that watched this, Pam was throwing jokes back. If sometimes Pam would start it, they both would go back and forth. It is a back and forth. It's not a one-sided argument sometimes. It was like they would go back and forth. That was their relationship. That was how they got along. That's just one of those things. Like she had jokes on deck that made Martin himself break character. And I want people to understand that. It was just like she was funny. She was funny. Like Tashina Arnold herself, she has great comedic timing. And like she did her thing on that show. Like the Martin and Pam dialogue is some of the best shit you will ever see on TV, especially going back and forth on people. So, and the fact that it was with a black woman and she held her own, and not only held her own, sometimes get the best of Martin. It said something, and yet people always look at it as just like you trying to play the victim. I hate that because Pam was toe to toe with Martin. And then anytime when you explain this, it's just like people don't get it. It's just like, what are you looking at? But this is what I think about when people try to play the victim. And it's just like, Pam was never a victim. Pam go back and forth. Pam go toe to toe. Pam sometimes win the bouts. Where do you see a victim in that? So when I think when y'all say those things, it's just like I feel like it's insulting to people like Pam who throws jokes. It's like I'm funny. It's like I was throwing jokes on it and they were funny and they were hitting, and they're hitting because the crowd is laughing. But I get it, Martin is Martin. But like I said, Tichina Arnold did her thing on that show.
Things that stood out to me in this clip. First, I noticed that Tichina called herself brown-skinned and not dark-skinned. And I am not one of those people who thinks that the brown skin tone category should be eliminated, because I know that was somewhat of a viral discussion on TikTok not too long ago. I definitely think it's useful to keep the brown skin category for many reasons that I may discuss in another video. But I do think that Tichina called herself brown-skinned because she's uncomfortable with referring to herself as dark.
I think that's a reach. I don't know if I'm this video is about 26 minutes long, but I think that's a reach. I just think she's but dark as a brown skin. She knows who she is. I'm pretty sure she knows who the fuck she is. I don't think she's not uncomfortable saying dark. She knows she's dark, but she also knows she's brown skin. Brown skin girl. It's all the same to me. But in my opinion, it's all the same to me. If you're darker than the paper bag, you probably consider dark skin or brown skin. The whole brown paper bag test. It's just like she's not passing a brown she's not passing a brown paper bag test, right? Is what I'm saying. Which is why, I've seen this too. It's just like, oh, this person dark. It's like, yeah, he's dark, but they're not dark. And I'm like, she's not passing a brown paper bag test. What are we talking about? And people try to separate dark people from darker people. It's like, you black, but you ain't black. I was like, what does it matter? We both get stopped from the police the same way. It's just like, we don't really have that shade of, that joke with Peter Griffin, where it's just like the shade of black. It's like, we're getting stopped from the police the same way. I'm dark skinned. Technically, I'm not passing a brown paper bag test. And that's fine. But, you don't really get this from men. I feel like this is a woman thing. So let's keep going.
Me, that's the first indication that Tichina's self-esteem isn't very high as a dark-skinned woman. It does.
You see what I mean? Like right there, how many times you done heard? I'm pretty sure she done heard it, and she's been married. She's probably heard video times about how bad she was like, oh, Pam's got better than Martin. I don't think her self-esteem is low. I think she looked good. She knows she looked good. Everybody knows she looked good. I don't think her self-esteem was low. And the person she was playing, she didn't have low self-esteem either. But even if she did have the BDBs and the buckshots, she didn't have no low self-esteem. So where do you get that? How do you get that from there? Just why? Because she called herself a brown-skinned girl, not a dark-skinned girl? That's some reaching ass shit. That is, to me, that is reaching 101. That is reaching right there. You're, and this is what I mean. Like, you put with women, I swear to God, y'all do this all the time. You put yourself in situations that you put yourself in other people's shoes. It's just like anytime you ask me a question and it's a general question, you put yourself in there. Well, I'm not talking about you. Leave yourself out. Men say all the time, leave yourself out there. Even when we have the general question, you putting yourself in there. This is why, most of our argument, this is why most men and women argument starts, because they put themselves in there. Because men will just answer the question this is like the whole age gap thing. Like most people, they was like, I don't even date girls younger than me, but they understand the age gap and some shit like that. They think we support. They used to say, oh, you support grape culture. I'm like, what? Is what I'm saying, and then we have to look at them like y'all tripping. Like we giving the Russell Williams, we're like, what? Y'all tripping, bro? Y'all tripping out here. And that's where the stupid ass comments. And I hate saying that, But it is stupid. Well, it's just like you get them stupid ass comments and the man looking at you like, y'all fucking stupid.
Kind of come off like she doesn't want to be called dark skinned and is giving internalized colorism. And then when she said that the jokes were made out of love and never written from a place of malice, roasting and calling dark skinned women ugly and nappy headed and comparing them to monkeys, gorillas, and any other animal, that's not a normal way to show love or joke around. And it says
I'm gonna let her finish.
There's a lot that the black community considers colorist jokes against dark-skinned women to be quote-unquote loving and funny. No, that's actually dysfunctional and cruel. It's not
Okay, so this is the other thing where I used to call people soft for saying this, and I stand on this. I don't care who you are. I don't care how you stand on this. I've been roasted. I've been roasted for my skin. I've been roasted for being broke. I've been roasted for being dusty, busty, and all that other stuff. I've been roasted for being black. I've been roasted for my nappy hair sometimes because I had nappy nigga naps. I had the nigga naps, right? I've been roasted, and it's made me a better person, right? Sometimes, and that's what I feel about roasting. Is just like you have your insecurities. So what? What do you do about them? You either fix them, or you just like rock with it. Some things you can't change unless you don't have surgery, but some things you can't change. It's like, you got a big nose, okay, you got a big nose. You fat, okay, you know you fat. Which is why like most people that are really good at roasting are fat or short people. Like, you gonna call a nigga short? Alright, whatever. I done heard every short, because as a fat person, I done heard every fat joke before. So, like, you gotta be real creative to like hit me with a fat joke. To the point where I told people all the time, I was just like, people tried me. At one point, I wasn't good. I've always told the story about the one dude that roasted me to the ground, and then after that, I was like, I'm not going to get roasted like that no more because it made me better roaster. Honestly, it made me more creative because I was getting fried. And if you from the DMV, you understand the lingo. Nigga was joning on me. I got fried. That nigga flamed my shit. Like, I was toasted. At the end of that, that nigga lit me up so fucking bad to the point where I was just like, I get it. I was like, I had to like become funnier. I was like trying to become more creative with my jokes and things like that. It's the same thing with roasting. Roasting is just like, it's the dueling of words. You know, steel starts sharpen steel. And if anything, you get, you know, people could joke about their insecurities and then we can move on with each other. That's the thing. It's like, we're tough. The thing about black people is that we're tough on ourselves because the world is tougher on us. So you have to have this, to me, and this is how I feel. You gotta have some type of toughness in you to go out into the world and do the things in the world because they don't give a fuck about you. They're going to chew you. So you gotta instill a little toughness for them. And the thing about with black people is like, if we see some weakness in you, we will pick at it. Especially the older black people, because it's just like, well, I ain't raised no punk. That was our whole thing. It's like, we ain't raising no punks out here. So, like, if you got jokes, you better cut them back. If you get hit, you better hit them back. I ain't raising no punks. I ain't raising no sissies. And it's not sissy as in, like, gay, but, like, sissy as in, like, you being a coward. Or you being, like, extra sensitive or some shit like that. And black people is just like, we say this all the time. It's like, I ain't got time for that sensitive shit. I ain't got time for, like, you being down over words. Niggas gotta go to fucking work or some shit like that. I don't care what anybody say. Like, that shit work. Like, when people say we need to get rid of that, I was like, I disagree. You need to get tougher skin. It's like, our life is already tough. Good. Get tougher. And I'm one of those dudes. I don't care how toxic you think that is. I think it's good for us. I think you need a little. Now, I've always said, like, with that being said, you need to balance that out with, like, words of affirmation, but you get there. It was just like, oh, this nigga funny. Like, and I say this all the time. It's like, when someone roasts you and then you roast them back, and niggas are like, oh, yo, this nigga funny. Oh, this nigga right. And usually when you do that, niggas stop fucking with you. It's because, oh, yeah, nah, you don't want that. that nigga funny. He light you up. So you know your word is like your word is bond. Like they know you good. They know okay that nigga ready. It's usually okay that nigga ready. He ready to go out in the world. So anytime when I hear people say about that, I always say no. Roasting makes you tougher. You getting roasted makes you tougher because if you know what to, especially like if you fat or short and some shit like that, niggas know like, oh, I got jokes for these. So let's go.
Loving or funny at all. And it's no wonder why so many dark-skinned girls and women grow up with low self-esteem and a low sense of self-worth because other black people show them quote-unquote love by roasting and joking about their features. And it's been...
And again, like I said, it's not just dark-skinned women. Like light-skinned women get it too. People forget, like Gina got it. And that was the thing about the show. Martin got on everybody. Got on Tommy, got on Cole, he got on Gina, he got on random background characters. Like, nobody was safe. Everybody got it. And it's the same thing in the black community. Everybody gets it. If you got big ass feet, we gonna clown your big ass feet. You seen people, Kevin Durant, he has feet look like hockey, but he look like the Lancianegas or some shit like that. And sometimes you just laughing at this as black people again. Sometimes we just laugh at our insecurities. We're like, oh well, I got these, so what? And even with these insecurities, I'm still good. So let's get it.
Normalize that fully grown dark-skinned women like Tashina Arnold actually believe that that's what love looks like. This is how so many black women end up with abusive black men who don't like them, including Tashina, because she talked about in this interview how she had to physically fight men. So a lot of dark-skinned women don't really know what love is because the black community abuses them, either verbally, physically, or emotionally, and they call it love. And then her throwing Ari Lennox under the bus like she was some insecure dark-skinned woman, that was typical colorist gaslighting. And
she it's sad because I'm about to Ari Lennox's sister. Ari Lennox said it herself, she's sensitive. She's very sensitive. And you could honestly, like, you could tell a sensitive person. It was like, oh, he's sensitive. There's some things like, even during the roast, it's just like, oh, you sensitive. And usually when you sensitive, we poke at it. Honestly, that becomes your nickname. I've seen that too. You're like, yo, don't. So I teach to tell people, it's like, all right, keep doing that. That's going to become your nickname. I've seen it many times. Where it's just like, oh, something you don't like end up becoming your nickname. But again, Ari Lennox is sensitive, but she's also very pretty. But it's just, and if I said this, Ari Lennox is gorgeous. It's just like, you gotta get, and then, like I said, black people, we're just tough with each other because, like, the world is out there is tough. I think we understood that. That's why I feel like roasting, to me, roasting is like an integral part in the black community. It's like, if you can't handle people saying words to you, how can you handle anything else? And I say this about roasting all the time. It's just like, if you can't handle people saying some words about you, where, the whole thing about stick to stone, break my bones and words never hurt me. Remember that old shit? It's just like, yo, let that shit slide off you. Water off a duck's back. Or, and also clap back. Half of the times when we make jokes, we want you to clap back. And that's the one thing I've always, like, people always say that in the black community. Nah, nigga, you need to clap back. Sometimes you gotta put the battery in your back. And then that's why she said, yo, I need you to look at your friends. Because some of your friends would be like, nah, nigga, clap back. She's very sensitive. I had to, like, I know my sisters, I used to crack on my sisters all the time. To the point where, like, they hurt feelings, and not in a hurt people way, not in a hurt people way, but like they know how to crack jokes, or if they heard jokes before, it was like, boo, like, boo, they're like tired, like they know, like they'll say some shit, they be like, damn, like my sisters is cutthroat. I'll be like, damn, I done rubbed off on them. So, and I'm proud of that because it's just like they're not sensitive. This is just like my sister, like they get at you. It's just like they don't like that soft shit. They don't like that soft shit. So they'll call you soft in a minute too. Just, nigga, you soft. We gotta get that shit out of here.
By the way, I did do a video about Ari's statements on The Martin Show. So if you haven't seen it, make sure you check it out after this video. I'm not a huge fan of Ari, so, this video is not to like cape for her or anything, but I do agree with her on this. And I don't like how Tashina made light of the colorism on Martin and made it all about Ari's insecurities and made it seem like she was the only one who picked up on the colorist undertones and microaggressions in the show. Because it was several people, both male and female, who agreed with Ari, including the actress Erica Alexander, who played Max on Living Single.
Being that you were on Living Single, which it was one of the fundamental sitcoms of the 90s, what do you think about the criticism that Ari had about how we used to joke, and is there any validity to it?
It's valid, absolutely. It's valid. And we talk a lot about colorization, and we all suffered from it. I think that what we're rediscovering by even reclaiming our opinion about these things is no one ever asked us back in the day anything. You come in, you're hired, you do your gig, and you keep moving. And for the most part, so many things can be so normalized that you don't feel it. But then you need distance in order to have, hindsight. And so it gives us insight. You're right, Van. There's no doubt about it. I knew then there were things I didn't like about that. Looking at the Martin Show, I didn't see it within our show, but then looking at our show, I did see a few things. I was like, And I took it on the chin, like the chick I am, because that's what she does. But Erica Alexander was like, I don't like that. Wow. And that girl, they wouldn't have gotten away with that. And I say they, because I don't think it was mean-spirited. Right. I don't think that even now the creator or anybody would have heard it like that. But I hear it. And being dark-skinned is a unique burden in this world, especially for a Black woman. And a lot of the true damage that was done and the wounds were unfortunately received by other Black people. And all I know is that we can do better now, but we also need to all grow up and away from it a little bit.
Erica confirmed.
Okay, I don't have a problem with what she said because there are people that, I don't have a problem with what she said per se, but even then it was just like Maxine, her character Maxine, she took it on the chin. She took it. Not only she took it on the chin, she delivered. Like she threw it back at you. And this is what I'm talking about. It's just like, it's for you to take it on the chin and then deliver it back. And this is also when I tell people all the time, it's like, people thought Maxine was beautiful, gorgeous. Who are you listening to? When you say like, oh, sometimes the skin can be a burden. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand. Like, I remember Kodak saying like, I don't want no dark skin joint because I don't want no kid black as being or some shit like that. And it's just like, but you also had Bernie Mac that was just like, my black is beautiful. It's like, you never seen a handsome motherfucker like me. It's just like, who are you around? And Max was fine. And Pam was fine, to the point where even people was just like, yo, Pam better than Gina. So this is, and again, to me, it's all about who you listening to, who you fucking with, because sometimes, and we all do this. I think everybody do this. You see many comments, some people calling you beautiful, but you looking for that one comment calling you ugly or some shit like that. You pay attention to that. That's the one you respond to. There's fucking 400 people calling you beautiful, and there's 400 people talk about how gorgeous you is, and you like to stand in, and then all of a sudden you pay attention to this one person who's like, oh, you ugly, you look like a gorilla or some shit like that. And then that's what you give your attention to. I'm not saying she's wrong. And again, I think what she said was valid, but I also feel like a lot of y'all focus on those people instead of people that fucks with you. And I've always said, fuck with people that fuck with you. Sometimes it's like, I don't care about people that don't fuck with me, feel like, because they don't fuck with me. But the people that do fuck with me, like, I can take criticism from them because I know it comes from a place where it comes from love. It comes from love. So I'm not worried about that. So again, in the 90s, you had to have the jokes. I tell people all the time, you had to have the jokes. It was cut, like, even the comedy is like very cutthroat. You had to have jokes. You have to come right, and sometimes you got to come right or don't come at all. So it was very. So to me, it's just like, if you survive that shit, you can survive anything, and that's another thing. It's just like, I tell people, it's like, yo, they was going for it on everybody. So if you can survive all them jokes for the 90s, you can survive, because they don't go as, to me, in my opinion, they don't go as hard as they do now. It's like, if you go as hard now as they did in the 90s, you know, people will look at you, you're like, God damn, why? Like, I was like, I come from an era, you know, you had to have them jokes on deck. You had to have a clapback. Your clapback game gotta be quick. You gotta make sure it's like, oh, when you clap back, you clap back.
That the colorism in Black sitcoms from the 90s was real. She was honest about it. It's just that during that time, it was normalized. And dark-skinned women especially were conditioned to tolerate the colorism in the industry and ignore it. And I think Erica was able to be honest about this because she is less Black male identified than Tashina. And I think her being married to a white man may have something to do with that. Erica just doesn't seem to have the same loyalty to Black men in the Black community. And she also doesn't come off as insecure to me. She actually comes off as being more secure as an unambiguous dark-skinned woman than Tashina. And that actually speaks to what I always say about.
Why? Because Tashina Arnold took the shit on the chin and ran with it and told you the shit came out of love, and then hers was just like she felt some type of way or some shit like that. Man, get the fuck out of here. Now you're projecting. Again, but now you're projecting your own insecurities, and you have someone to validate it, and now you just project. Right now, it's just projecting insecurity right now.
How confident and secure dark-skinned women being able to acknowledge colorism and not feel that it takes away from their success or beauty as dark-skinned women. But even outside of Erica, some of the people who agreed with Ari were not dark-skinned women. Many of them also didn't have some traumatizing colorism story, and that includes myself. I don't have a sad colorism story or a quote-unquote woe is me colorism story. And even the dark-skinned women who do, nothing is wrong with that. But it's always assumed that all of us have this traumatizing story surrounding colorism when a lot of times it's the complete opposite. And that's why we can clock the colorism, because we were actually taught to love our skin. I was taught from a very early age to love my skin from both of my Black parents. My skin, my hair, my features, everything. And I think the dark-skinned women who actually have high self-esteem and pride when it comes to our skin tone and our features and our hair texture would never tolerate what Tashina tolerated on the Martin Show. Jokes or not. We have...
Okay. That being said, Tashina Arnold also said that they all came out of love. So, like, if her word, someone that is on that show telling you that those jokes came out of love and they just trying to be funny, because like I said, I told people all the time about Martin. Martin was just trying to throw jokes out there and being funny. He's like, yes, it was like there was a story, wherever there was a story, the story is not the sharp point, it was the jokes. And if everybody was getting it, and she was like, it was all love, and everybody is laughing on that show, obviously she could take this shit. Not only she could take this shit, and again, not only she could take it, she could deliver it back and make it as funny. Not only that, people were still saying Pam was better than Gina. So where's all this coming from? Where she's not having this like high self confidence of herself? I'm like, people still think Pam bad as today. So what we doing?
way too much pride for that. And because a lot of dark-skinned women and black people in general don't have pride in their blackness and their dark skin, they're okay with themselves or other dark-skinned women being compared to animals and being called ugly and nappy-headed. That wasn't allowed in the household I grew up in. So I always knew that wasn't right when I was watching the Martin show. Even
But and again, like the jokes that meant like if we're talking about the show Martin, Pam joked on him being short. Pam also, though, she also joked about him not having a job. She didn't call him a loser. She didn't call him broke dusty. She called that man broke dusty and all that other stuff. Like, again, she was throwing a joke. And again, I'm not trying to go tit for tat, but at the same time, it's just like she was also throwing. But the whole point was she was also throwing jokes. And this is why a lot of people is like, when y'all have these, and that's why I tell people, when you overanalyze shit, it's just like you ruin the whole beauty of a show. And to me, like I said, it's just like, this is how maybe most people didn't understand, even if you was taught to love yourself. And hell, I was taught to love myself. My sisters was taught to love themselves. It's just like, but I think people just take joking, maybe it's just me, I think people take joking very differently. Like, because honestly, and I learned this from white people, but black people, we do it too, but I learned this from white people. I wouldn't even be talking to you. I be like, you notice when people fuck with you when they do joke with you, because usually if they don't fuck with you, they're not even talking to you. They won't even acknowledge you. They'll say hello or some shit like that, but then, like, usually, and this is what black people is just like, if I can't joke with you, then, like, can I really fuck with you and all that? Or can you really consider you a friend or some shit like that? That's always been black people. And I noticed that it's just like, they're cool with you when they joke with you. That's why white people, I don't want to make this a white people thing, but this is one thing, a black and white thing. I really don't. But this is the one thing I always loved about white people or some shit like that. They be the best of friends. And maybe it's just men thing, because I don't know how women is, but especially with white men. They be calling each other fuckface. Look at dickheads, fuckheads, and all that other stuff. Bitches. Like the white people, and that's their best friend. And then look at this fucking guy. Look at this like they clown on each other all the fucking time, and they know it's all jokes. It's like, I don't mean nothing. It's just playing around. And maybe it's just men, and maybe it's just a men thing. It's just like, because man, we play around like this too. It's just like we say some of the most fucked up shit. I tell people all the time, we say the most fucked up shit to each other as friends than we do as enemies, because we fuck with each other. But also, it's just like, I'm playing. That's serious. You're like, yeah, we really talking to each other like that? Yeah, nigga, we fucking grown ass men, nigga. Maybe, again, this is probably just one of those things where it's just like, black man. But I've seen white people do it all the time. Black people, we do it too. We do joking. That's what I'm saying. But fucking white people do it. Hello, fuckface. And that's their best friend of 20 fucking years. Well, this fucking guy. This is like, what? Steve Harvey, he saw his friend for 61 years. He was just like, you should have called me with your punk ass. And then they just laugh, because that's the motherfucking man. That's my motherfucking man. You love him. Like, he loved that man. He hugged that man. He was about to cry. He's like, about to make me cry all this shit. You see the male camaraderie. And maybe it's because we gone through shit like this. We done gone through trenches. We done gone through fights. And I tell people all the time, it's just like, that's the thing about male best friend. It's just like, when you go through the trenches with each other, when you go to war for someone, and when you spend most of the time with this motherfucker, you develop a bond. Like, I don't call all people, like, you don't do this for people you don't do it with, because you don't know how the fuck they're gonna react. But if you know, there's like, oh, that's my man. It's just like, we get it.
Even though I didn't have the language for it back then, and I thought some of the stuff in the sitcom was funny, I was always uncomfortable with how Martin spoke to Pam. I was always uncomfortable with how the black men treated the dark-skinned black women in a lot of those sitcoms and movies from the 90s. They were very colorist, and a lot of it was overt, some of it was covert, and some of it was colorist microaggressions. And I think those of us who actually grew up in a household where that wasn't tolerated, we easily picked up on some of the microaggressions. And
I also want to talk about this. I said this before on one of my reviews, and I think, what was it, Moesha? When Netflix started doing the black shows, because I always hear about the colorism in the 90s, and I've always disagreed. And I disagreed heavily on this, and I still to this day disagreed heavily on this, because the 90s shows you every shade of black was beautiful. There was not one girl on that you remember from the 90s. We still have crushes to these days on some of these women. Then they could be as light as fucking Halle Berry or Mariah Carey or Gina.